Hello, Sweet Tooth here. Hope your day's going well. Kuno Matata. Welcome back to Perfect Date. Brian got shot. That must be why the Major had another cat. Because all those dates were unsuccessful. But I thought that was like what he wanted. What am I supposed to do? Challenge him? I don't understand. Brian's dead though. I'm really surprised about that. I didn't think death would be a part of this. Alright. The Adventures of Sandra. They actually kill people on this island. I did not know that. That takes it to a whole new level. Sandra. You have any water? I'm parched. Do you have any water? There are natural springs all over the island, but we have the bottled kind too. A bottle of water would be great. I'm not too keen to start drinking from natural water sources until I'm sure that they're not being used as cat urinals. We spend the next hour going through my kit. Yep. And then she ends up going to the tent that has all the notes from the previous assistant. I think. She snores like a man. Here we go again. Hello, can you hear me? You okay? Here we go again. Move back a bit. Let them breathe. Has it been bitten? Sphinx cat is standing over me, staring at my... as I open my eyes. Yes, definitely bitten. Look at its hand. I bring my hand up to my face, and through my blurry vision, I can make out several deep scratches and puncture marks. The cats watch me intently. Is this real? I saw something in a journal about kidnapping. Catnapping! Ha ha ha! We're sorry, it was the only way. My head has begun to clear, and I realize that if I can talk to these cats, not only is it all true... Man. We need to have a talk, human. No, we don't. I know what's going on. I've got the sickness, that's why I can hear you. What happens now? That rather depends on you, human. Help them, or I pretty much just turn into a cat, so... I think with their notes to build on, I'm going to crack this. Well, I promise to give it my best shot, at least. Hurrah! Respect. Jolly good show. Catalog starts beeping. But right now I have to get to work. Loose lips sink ships. I remember reading something about messages in a journal, but I was so sleepy last night I don't recall what it was. I decided to ignore the mystery messenger for now, or I'll be late for work. The professor is already working when I arrive, but I'm not late, so there's no fuss. I get through the day as efficiently as possible and head back to my tin as soon as my work was done. I want to get to grips with finding out all that I can as soon as possible. Man, it's only 15.3%. Research 1. The professor has assigned me to work on a special subject. I wonder what he means by that. Sandra, I have a very important job for you today. It's quite a tricky one, but you've proven yourself to be very capable, and I'm certain you can handle it. Follow me. I have a little lady I'd like you to meet. The professor leads me to a research lab in a forest, but instead of going in, he takes me to an area around the back. This is our brave little nugget, Ravenpaw. She has to be isolated over here, don't you, Missy? Don't you, Missy? The professor reaches into the cage, which is stood on a table, and picks up the tiny black cat that's sleeping inside. Such a good girl, aren't you? We keep her here, away from the others, because the poor thing is very unwell. Can you see this nasty rash? Professor Popper holds out one of the cat's paws for me to inspect. It's red and swollen. Ravenpaw looks at me with her big watery eyes, one blue, one brown. They're probably watery because of the medication she's on, but it makes her look as if she's pleading with me. She doesn't seem to be able to eat without assistance either, poor thing. We've been treating her as best we can, but I'm not sure if she'll make it, perhaps not even to the end of the week. The professor lets out a sad sigh. I have my fingers crossed, though we don't give up any of these cats, do we, Ravenpaw? No, we don't. We're going to try and get you all better. She's such a pretty kitty. Look, her eyes are enchanting, aren't they? She's a very pretty cat indeed. And she knows it, too. You can tell. You know what a pretty thing you are, don't you? I reach out to stroke Ravenpaw, but she struggles away from my hand. Ah, she's getting cranky. I think we've kept Grumpy Pants here awake for too long enough. He puts her gently back into the cage and locks it shut. Ravenpaw seems to fall asleep instantly. I hope I didn't distress her. Of course not, Sandra. She's usually very wary of humans before she gets to know them. When I first found the poor thing on the beach, she almost scratched my eyes out, in spite of the terribly fragile state she was in. The professor smiles at the memory. Such a little trooper, she was half dead at first. She's gotten a lot better since then. I honestly wouldn't be surprised to see her pull through this. I do hope so, Professor. Quite. Now, the reason I brought you here is because regrettably I won't be able to see to Ravenpaw personally any longer. It's a pity as she is so used to me now, but there's nothing for it. I've been given an extra workload recently and I need to share out a few of my odd jobs to accommodate it. I thought you would be the ideal person to look after Ravenpaw for me. I'm taken aback that the professor has trusted me with such responsibility. It's quite flattering until I remember that he doesn't have much choice, me being the only assistant on the island. Every day she requires a change of dressing, a dose of medication, some cream rubbed into her rashes, and a syringe full of some nutrient milk. This can be quite distressing for her, so I'd like someone with a nice and patient manner to take over for me. Would you be interested, Sandra? Of course, sir. I'd love to help out in any way I can. That's what I'm here for. Oh, splendid. I am so glad. I think you and Ravenpaw will get along famously before too long. She has such a sweet nature. I look forward to it, sir. Could you start now? Oh, of course. Tip-top. I shall be in the lab if you need me for anything. Please don't be afraid to give me a shout. I am terribly sorry to burden you with this so suddenly, but I have such a lot of work to do right now. Okay, Professor. I feel a little apprehensive as I watch Professor Popper retreat into the lab. I didn't realize I'd be expected to do everything right now without training or anything. I remind myself that this isn't like an ordinary lab back home. I must try to adapt to the higgledy-piggledy way things are done here. I take a deep breath. Change her dressing. I can do that. Hello, pretty kitty. I'm very sorry, but I have to disturb you. The small cat lets out a sad mew as I lift her out of the cage. Ah, I know. Life is unfair. Now where are your dressings? I put Ravenpaw next to the cage on a table. She lays down compliantly. She obviously knows the routine. She has a large bandage on the side of her ribs. I begin to gently remove it, trying hard not to pull her skin too much. Well, I suppose if we're going to doing this every day, we might as well get to know each other, right? So, hello, my name is Sandra. I'm quite new here. I know your name already, Ravenpaw. Nice name. I bet the professor named you. He certainly knows how to pick 'em, doesn't he? The cat tenses as I remove the last of the plaster and reveal a scar on a patch of bare skin where the professor had shaved her for surgery. Oh dear, that scar looks very tender. I should clean it. Is that right, Ravenpaw? Let me look. There are some drawers under the table, and I quickly find some antiseptic gel and cotton pads. Now, Ravenpaw, I'm going to level with you. This is going to sting a bit, but please don't take it out on me. I'm doing this for your own good, okay? Trust me, you do not want this scar to become infected. That would be disastrous. The cat stays perfectly still while I wipe at her scar. She doesn't even make a sound. I have to say I'm impressed and a little disquieted. Wow, you are a brave girl, aren't you? Well done. When I was a child, I cut my arm on some thorns and had to have antiseptic put on it. As I remember, I screamed the house down. I carefully put on a clean bandage, trying hard not to stick it to her fur. I suppose the medication comes next, doesn't it? What do we have here? I look through the drawers and find a box of pre-filled syringes labeled catatonic. Oh, and I presumed you'd be taking tablets, but of course, the professor said you had little trouble with solids, don't you? Poor thing. Okay, same thing as last. Don't shoot the injector. I held the skin of the back of Ravenpaw's neck tight and go to inject it quickly to get it over with. But the syringe is stiff, and it takes a lot longer than I expected. Again, the little cat makes no response. Doesn't move a muscle, almost as if she can't feel it. Good girl. Gosh, you are so tough. You know, I bet you and McMurphy would get on like a house on fire. Ravenpaw's ears pick up as if she's heard a rattlesnake. McMurphy is one of the coolest people. I mean, I was a little wary at first, but he has that Irish charm that's so hard to resist. The tiny cat's head spins to look up at me. How do you know he's Irish? My heart lurches into my throat. Have you got it? You have, haven't you? You're sick. You've got the sickness. I have a million questions running through my head, but I am unable to speak. Listen to me, human. You must help me. I suddenly jolt to my senses. I'm trying to help you, Ravenpaw. Please don't use the cream on me. It burns. It has given me these red patches. I know it hurts, but I have to rub it into your wounds. Those red patches will get dry and itchy and even infected otherwise. No, please, I beg you, human. That stuff doesn't help. It doesn't. It hurts. I know it feels that way, but it's helping you. I promise. The professor has been caring for you so thoroughly since he found you. I'd get the sack if your treatment went downhill now. That man has only ever hurt me. I'm taken aback. The professor cares for you very much and only wants you to get better. The cat turns her face away as if she's given up hope. It pulls at my heartstrings and I pause for a moment. Probably listen to what the cat's saying, so stop the treatment. Okay, I'm taking a big leap here. I'm going to give you 5 days without this cream, and if I see any deterioration in your condition, it's back to strict regime for you, Missy. No complaints, deal? Thank you, human. Secret desires, achievement unlocked. That's interesting. Does that mean I can date this one now? No, I can't. Ravenpaw's locked. Let's go on a date with McMurphy. Kyra, wake up. And I also saw that Major was missing. That's interesting. Mummy, is that you? Shh. Quiet, Kyra. Come with me. I have something to show you, but you have to be quiet. McMurphy? Yes, it's me. But it's the middle of the night. Ah, Kyra, you're not scared, are you? Why would I be scared? Creeping around in a forest in the middle of the night. Don't worry, Kyra. I'll be there to protect you. McMurphy, you know very well that there's a force field around this island stopping anything from the outside getting in. It makes this a pretty safe place. Indeed, so the only thing you have to worry about are the things that are already here. He leers at me with a mock snarl. Seriously, McMurph, if you're the worst threat here, then this is the safest place on Earth. So come on, Kyra, what are you waiting for? I follow the scraggy cat into the forest. The ground is wet and muddy, and I lose my footing on a couple of times, but McMurphy is too determined to notice. Suddenly, he stops dead in his tracks. Here we are. Where is here, McMurphy? He ignores my question and starts digging into some mud and leaves on the ground. Almost got it. Could use a hand, Kyra, if you don't mind. Get these leaves out of the way. That's it. Here we are. Okay. We keep digging until there's a fairly deep hole in the ground. My arms and night clothes are covered in mud and leaves, and McMurphy looks like a bog monster in the darkness. Ta-da! Ta-da! Can't you see it, Kyra? I'm not sure what I'm looking at. I always forget how useless human eyes are in the dark. Just reach into the hole and take out whatever you find. I reluctantly reach into the burrow and feel something hard and cold against my hand. I wrap my fingers around it and pull it out. I know the shape, but my eyes can hardly process it. It's a bottle? That's right, Kyra. This is my secret stash. No one knows about it, not a soul, but I thought I'd share it with you. I thought we could have a kind of welcome to the island party for two. Secret stash. Is this booze? McMurphy lets out a wild laugh. That it is, Kyra. You drink alcohol? But you're a cat. It can't be good for your body. It's not good for any bodies. But it does wonder for the soul, to be sure. Well, I suppose you're right there, McMurphy. I guess one little nip couldn't hurt. That's the spirit. I try in vain to get some of the mud off of me before giving up and sitting down against a tree. A sodden McMurphy curls up into my lap. It takes a while to uncork the bottle. McMurphy keeps telling me to smash it open, and that the shards of glass will only add to the flavor, but eventually I succeed, my way. I pour a little out for McMurphy into a leaf, and I self-consciously swig from the bottle, feeling a touch uncivilized. Ugh, McMurphy, what in heaven's name is this? Oh, now, don't worry about that, Kyra. It's not about the taste, it's about the company. I hardly think I'm the type of person you'd usually hang around with. Well, I usually hang around with the cats, and they're not exactly what you call my type. I respond by widening my eyes as I take another swig from the bottle. Somehow it tastes less terrible the second time around. I find humans much more interesting. They usually have a lot to say. Present company accepted. McMurphy winks at me with his huge green eyes, and I blush, trying desperately not to show how boring I feel in compared to him. Don't take it harsh, I'm only joking, Kyra. McMurphy, I've been meaning to ask you something for a while now. Anything, Kyra. Ask away. I'd love for us to get to know each other better. This Kara thing, you know my name is... The rest of my sentence is drowned out by McMurphy's howls of laughter. You make me laugh, Kara, you really do. I know exactly what your name is. Sandra. Kara is just it's like a pet's name, you know? Kara means friend, buddy, amigo. It's something my mammy used to call people, and I guess it just stuck. It's one of the few things I remember about her, actually, that and her beautiful smile. Hey, flash me your pearly whites. I smile at McMurphy awkwardly. He burst into fits of laughter again. That's a lovely smile, to be sure, but you need to grow into it yet. Could I have a top-up over here? I don't know if I feel comfortable giving you more alcohol, McMurphy. I think you've had more than enough. In fact, I didn't even want to give you any in the first place. Did you know that cats have 9 lives? And you want to waste them all on booze? Why not? Besides, the night is still young, and we've only just begun our conversation. Come on, Kara. We've got a lot of chin wagging to do yet. Are you gonna pour it or not? This isn't an intervention. McMurphy, I cannot, in good conscience, enable your drinking any longer. Oh, and who made you the boss of me? I'm a vet, McMurphy. I'm doing this for your own good. What about your own good, Kara? I can't help but notice you're enjoying my fine vintage. I look at the bottle in my hand and realize I have actually drunk rather more than I thought. Oh gosh, it grows on you, this stuff, doesn't it? Oh, are you coming around to my way of thinking by any chance? Absolutely not. If you want to drink, you're going to have to pour it for yourself. I plant the bottle down on the floor in front of him. Pour? McMurphy pounces on the bottle, pushing it over, and whips his head around under the neck so that the liquor is trickling straight down his throat. Whoa, mister. Okay, I know when I'm being. I grab the bottle away from him and pour a conservative amount into his leaf. He laughs at it a little before looking back at me as if he has something to say. Say, Kara, you ever been in love? McMurphy, that second leaf has gone straight to your head. The cat smiles slyly. I'm gonna take that as a yes. Are you still with them? Well, I was never technically with them to begin with. Ouch. Well, it's definitely their loss. I don't think so, McMurphy. We never actually met. You're not saying you're one of those internet stalker types, are you? Them catfish that Kibbles tells tales of? No, McMurphy, gosh. It was Bowie, it wasn't, okay? I was in love with David Bowie, you know? McMurphy frowns and shakes his furry head. See these eyes so green, I can stare for 1,000 years, you know? Oh, that's a charming song, but I'm afraid I have no idea what's going on anymore. Come on, Murphy, everyone knows who David Bowie is. Red hair, lots of makeup, one blue eye, one brown eye. Well, I didn't know one sweet soul with a blue eye and a brown eye, but I can assure you they wouldn't be caught dead in makeup. McMurphy snorts. Well, what about you, McMurphy? Who's the love of your life? Don't have one, Kara. Never have, never will. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a free agent. I'm a big old yeti out of the mountains, all hairy and smelly and alone. For some reason, I find that very hard to believe, Mr. McMurphy. Fine, you're right. I'm a fool, a lovesick fool. I've had my heart broken more than once, Kara, and each time hurt more than the last, I tell you. What the hell's going on? The thing is, though, Kara, I can't remember a thing about any of them. Any of what? I don't know. What are we talking about? David Bowie? Ah, that's right. So tell me how the two of you met. McMurphy, I think I'm drunk. What the hell have we been drinking? Leave me alone. I haven't touched a drop. Ugh, I think I'm gonna vom. I wake up in the forest with a half-empty bottle in my hand, and McMurphy is nowhere to be seen. How the hell did I get here? Can't remember a thing. I look at my catalog. Was that really the time? Crikey, I need to get to work. What the heck? Time for some recon. Intercepting mail. I can't stop thinking about those important fragrant pink letters Zane mentioned. Gotta get my hands on one. I run through the sequence one more time. I know it by heart, but I'm nervous. I've been watching long enough to be sure that the routine is just like clockwork. No deviations, well apart from one, and I've made that work for me. So the boat arrives at 1300 hours. Zane, always alone, talks to the older man, Bob, who hands over the post, while the younger of the two, Joe, loads up the dolly with boxes of supplies. Zane puts the envelopes, never more than 3, into the breast pocket of his jacket. That solves the mystery of why he always overdresses whenever the boat comes in. He then wheels the dolly to the mess tents and unloads the food supplies, then to the lab and unloads the medical supplies, then to the storage hut where he unloads the remaining packages and leaves the dolly. Next he goes to Professor Popper's tent. If the professor is in, he hands over 2 of the envelopes, keeping the third, his puzzler, in his jacket pocket. If, however, the professor isn't in his tent, Zane makes his way back down to his chair on the dock, drapes his jacket over the back of it, and spends the afternoon on his puzzles before going back again in the evening to deliver the professor's mail. He never lets the envelopes out of his jacket pocket, or the jacket out of his sight, so my only opportunity would be to pickpocket the security guard when he takes his jacket off, but that relies on Professor Popper not being in his tent. Luckily, I've ensured, with the help of my feline friends, that the professor would be held up during his out-of-grounds inspection. Usually Popper just meanders around the inner perimeter of the base camp area and checks that all as well. Most days everything is, but today Kibbles and Trixie have staged a little rumpus that will engage him for just enough time to miss Zane's delivery. He is, of course, sat in his usual place, jacket draped over his chair. Hi there, Zane. 127. I suppose we're on first name terms now. I have a little something for you. Zane frowns, but he does not look at me. His eyes are instead, where they always are, on his crossword. I made you a puzzle. He eyes me skeptically. A crossword, to be exact. It's pretty tricky, if I do say so myself. I created the puzzle using all of the cat's general knowledge. Major and McMurphy thought of some particularly treacherous teasers, while Kibbles and Trixie offered some great obscure pop culture questions. Snooty Booty was mostly just trying to get cat treats out of my pocket. I hand the paper to Zane, who's still frowning. This Dick's having a whale of a time. Is this a joke? Oh, it gets harder. Zane peers over the crossword. Why did you make this for me? Well, you know how bored I get, and I like you, Zane. Zane breaks into the first smile I've seen on his face, although small and slightly uncomfortable looking. I don't have anything for you. Yes, he's warming to me. This plan is going spiffingly. Oh, don't worry about that. All I want is for you to complete it. I make my hand into a heart shape while Zane is distracted. I feel stupid, but McMurphy insisted that would be my signal for him to strike, and sure enough, along he slinks, cool as anything. He winds his feline body between Zane's legs, unnoticed. Zane's tongue is now sticking out, and his shoulders are hunched in concentration. You stuck already? I dart a look at McMurphy to get ready to make his move. He throws me a disconcerting wink. It's not that hard, just this one about the archetypal counterpart to yandere. Oh yes, that's quite niche. Thanks for that one, Kibbles. While I engage Zane, I can see that McMurphy has already reached up, as though stretching against the chair, and nudged his nose into the inside breast pocket of the jacket. Oi, shoo, get out of it. I see McMurphy scamper off and my heart sinks. Anyway, I'll check back later, see how you're getting on with it. Zane grunts in response. I walked back dejectedly to where McMurphy and I had agreed to meet after our mission was over, and suddenly my spirits lift at the sight of a little pink corner peeking out from under the designated rock. McMurphy, you're a star. There's no end to my talents. I snatch up the envelope, say goodbye to McMurphy, and head to the privacy of my tent. I examine my trophy while the kettle boils. I am touched by the pretty pink envelope and delicate fragrance, and feel suddenly embarrassed. Am I prying into the professor's love life? What has gotten into me, getting notions of secret going-ons and subterfuge? I'm about to put the letter back when I'm overwhelmed by curiosity. I wonder who the professor's secret love could be. What are they like? Woman? Man? Other? Before I can contain myself, I have steamed open the flap and am peeking inside. It's not at all what I expect, and my previous suspicions come flooding back. This paper is in stark contrast to the pretty pink wrapping. It is a typed message on white paper. Percival, I have been informed of your latest subject. I'd rather hear about such things from you personally. It would not be wise to take my silence for authorization. Please keep this in mind for future transactions. I will let this instruction slide, but if it is ever repeated, I will have no choice but to deal with you the way I dealt with 124. As for the project, case study number 6 is aesthetic. Please act accordingly. P-103 has been unsuccessful. Void any further investigation. Lab 09 has received the newest batch. Protocol to begin on the 8th. Finally, I trust your new assistant has arrived and is proving to be more helpful than the previous one. We seem to have had a run of bad luck in that particular area. As you know, I do not abide bad luck and will expect a reversal of fortune post-haste. Faithfully yours, 7. Huh. It's 20%. Gotta rest. Alright. I didn't unlock anything, though. I've been warned that despite their small size, these kittens eat like horses. I'm sure I can handle it, though. What's going on with Socks? I'm worried about Socks. None of the treatments so far seem to be clearing up his wound. Cream 116 hasn't helped one bit. In fact, my gut feeling is telling me it may be the cause of the deterioration. The entire site is now swollen and too sore to touch, even with a soft cotton pad. I decide to ask the professor for his advice. Sorry to disturb you, sir, but I need your advice on Socks. Send pics, please. I snap a picture on my catalog and send it to the professor. Yes, that does look nasty. Have you tried Cream 116? Yeah, I did. Sight worse. Swollen and inflamed. I suggest persevering. Cream 116 can take a while, but will pay off. I feel doubtful, but resign myself to the professor's seniority. If unsatisfied, try steroid formula in fridge, red bag. I rummage around in the fridge until I find the red bag behind a box of vitamin supplements. Got it, thank you for your help, sir. I pour the milk into a small bowl and am relieved that Socks seems to like it. I sit with him as he laps it up and keeps an eye on him for a while. After about an hour, I'm satisfied that he's sleeping happily and all his vital stats are normal. That's it, huh? Yeah, let's look at the message in the bottle that Fluffy Butt found. The ink is surprisingly well preserved. The only obstacle to my understanding of this letter is deciphering the scrawling scribble. Some words I can make out. Punished, God, and presumably the signature at the bottom, Bill. I can make out some other words, but they appear to be badly misspelled, or possibly not even English, but some other hybrid language, maybe Colloquial? I spent an hour or two, though it feels much longer, attempting to translate each character and syllable into my notepad. I obsessively write and rewrite words until a sentence takes shape, and I am eventually left with something quite legible. Once I am satisfied with that each word is correct and each sentence has meaning, I read it through from beginning to end. To whoever finds this bottled message, we have been cursed. We be judged for our sins. We wrecked on the rocks. I couldn't tell you where we be, but I think it is hell. The cats, they are everywhere, and they won't forgive us. They know what we done. My guts burned for food. I had no choice. I had to eat. I regret it now. God help me, I do. Now I am cursed, and the boys are too. The cats are eating us. What? The cats are eating us slowly from the inside. It burns more than hunger. It burns me rotten. They stare at me all the time with their yellow eyes. They know what we've done. They are getting retribution, justice. God help me, I pray for death. If you find yourself in the path of the infinite island, turn back. Don't do what we've done. Leave them. This is their island. I need my little Lucy to know I love her. I am sorry, Puddle. Bill. I read it again, and then again. But it seems the more I read it, the less it makes sense to me. I wonder if reading aloud... I wonder if it has something to do with the elder cats. Might help me to understand, like in school. We have been cursed. We be judged for our sins. We wrecked on the rocks. So their ship crashed and they survived. I'm not sure if they're very lucky or very unlucky. The cats won't forgive us. I had to eat. I had no choice. Oh, they ate one of the cats, so the cats ate them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The thing was, based on what they were saying, the cats weren't touching them.
Ooh.
The cats just were ignoring them entirely and staring at them.
Yeah. My skin prickles with goosebumps. Who knows what lengths anyone might go to in order to survive. I'm sure I'm capable of a lot more than I'd like to believe. Sat here in the comfort of my tent, but this? My stomach turns at the thought of it. I think I understand what Bill means, but the next part is less clear and still more disturbing. They're eating us from the inside. Like food poisoning? The thought of that is bad enough. I've eaten a few dodgy prawns in my time. I shudder at the memory, but I can't help thinking he means something else, something worse. Surely the place Bill is talking about is here, this island. The Infinite Island. I never heard anyone refer to this place as the Infinite Island before. Most people call it Cat Island or the Valorian Island. Formally. Verloren. Perhaps this crew were the first humans to step foot on this place. How long have the cats been here anyway? This letter seems to be at least 100 years old, and the cats were pretty well established then by the sound of things. The cats in this note must be the elders. Yep. I suddenly feel another ping of sympathy for Bill and the crew. I know how frightening the elders can be. I decide not to tell Floofybutt about the contents of his gift. It would only add to his paranoia. I instead promise myself that I will look into this further another time. Well, I didn't unlock anything though. Trixie and Snooty Booty don't like me. Fleefy Butt is still gone.
It's like your only choice is him already. So you made people hate you?
Yeah, if you pick a cat, the other ones hate you. And these dates are actually kind of hard to get somewhere. So I went on the dates with Brian, with Fleefy Butt. And at the end, when Brian had to leave, they found out he had the cat sickness thing on the ship, and they shot him as he was waving off the Fleefy Butt. They killed him. They killed Brian.
They killed him?
Yeah, this island includes death. There's like crazy stuff happening. And Ravenpaw is apparently a tortured cat in a cage that the professor is messing with. Doing experiments, I guess. So this island's actually kind of crazy.
This is a weird game.
Yeah. It's actually pretty good, though. I'm sweltering in the mess tent. Typical for me to get cook duty on the hottest day so far. I step out for a moment to try to catch some air. Psst. I'm not sure if I really heard something or if the dehydration is getting to me. I take a swig from my water bottle. Hey, aren't you gonna share, Kara? Oh, McMurphy. Was that you psting? What are you suggesting, Kara? I only use the designated litter areas. Murph, you are incorrigible. You know exactly what I meant. Come on, Kara, never mind all that. We have work to do. I am working. I'm supposed to be cooking for this evening. I mean work on the adventuring variety. Oh, of course you do. Come on, don't be such a bore. Sorry, McMurphy, but I can't. I'm very busy here. It's going to take hours to defrost and braise this meat from the mainland. Well, if you come with me, you may end up providing a much tastier dish in half the time. What do you say, Kara? You up for the crake? What are you saying? You mean I should just bunk off? That's the spirit. Strip off your apron. Let's hit the trail. But I can't just. What if someone comes looking for me? Leave him a note. Gone fishing. Maybe it's the heat, but I'm overcome with a moment of madness. Well, okay then, you wild Irish rover. I'm all yours. Well, now there's a thought. Before I can answer, he slunk into the thickening of the forest behind the clay cooking pits. I whip off my apron and follow behind. Wait, Murph, it's too hot to run. Then we really ought to cool ourselves off, eh? He's led me up to the cliffs and without warning takes a running jump off the edge. I see him flying through the air and watch mesmerized as he cuts through the water. Oh no, Murphy, you okay? Don't panic, I'm coming. I kick off my flip-flops and shorts and follow him into the water. I'm surprised at how shallow it is and that I'm easily able to stand. Murph, where are you? I frantically search about, fearing for his safety, and suddenly feel something brush against my legs, making me scream out loud. What's that? I look down into the clear water and see McMurphy speeding along the seabed like a shark, fast and sleek, and suddenly breaking through the surface with something in his mouth. McMurphy, you can swim? What on earth is that thing? Oh my, it's a fish. I can see he's smiling, even with the sprat in the way. You can fish? He spits the fish back into the water. There truly is no end to my talents, Kara. You say that again, but I have so many questions I don't even know where to start. Catch your breath, Kara. I know I'm exhilarating company, but you need to exercise a little bit of restraint, or you'll be swooning on me next. Relax. The salt water is very buoyant. I copy McMurphy, and we both lie with our backs on the surface. It's very calming and tranquil, and I'm able to collect my thoughts. I realize I've not had this much clarity in a long time. This is so cool. I know, Trixie took me here first, calls it the Ponder Pool. Oh, can you all swim then? I thought cats... Before I can even finish my sentence, McMurphy cuts in. It's a common misconception that cats can't swim. As you can see, it's another thing we excel at. So humble, too. As Nana McMurphy used to say, if you got a trumpet, blow it. What about the fish? Where did they come from? There are no birds or fish on this island. It's one of the first things they tell you in orientation. That's just because they don't know. Don't know what? Ah, it's better if I show you. Come on, Kara, follow me. We swim for a while, with McMurphy leading the way with purpose, and then he stops. Well, notice anything interesting? Well, the water's much cooler and deeper here. Anything else? Can you feel anything? I stand perfectly still for a moment and begin to feel a strange sensation around my legs, like a warm trickling under the water. McMurphy, are you peeing? Don't be so crude, Kara. It's a current. Look, over there. I refocus my eyes until they see that what I thought was a rock's shadow is moving. Comes closer into focus, and I realize it's a shoal of small fish darting in and out of one particular spot. What is that? I don't understand what I'm looking at. Isn't it enough to just see, Kara? To experience? Do you always have to understand everything? Well, yes, that's my job. It's who I am, McMurphy. I am a scientist. It's in my DNA to seek to understand. Come on then, scientist. Let's take a closer look. We move closer to the area where the fish are gathered. I put my hand down and realize I can touch them and even pick them up, but something is stopping them from swimming further inland. McMurphy, we need to get going. I'm going to be in big trouble if I'm away for any longer. But thank you for showing me this. I'm definitely going to come back here to try to understand it. I wouldn't waste your time, Kara. It wouldn't be a waste. I'm committed to finding out all that He cuts across me as I'm speaking. I meant coming back to this particular spot. The fishes won't be here. Oh, I see. It's only at certain times? And different locations. It changes all the time. There's no pattern to it either, so you'd just be sticking pins and maps, Kara. I brought you here because I saw them this morning. Chances are they'll be gone by this afternoon. The disappointment must be apparent on my face because McMurphy switches lanes super fast to distract me. Okay, Kara, it's time to strip off. Huh? That t-shirt would make a lovely net. Let's go fishing. Go fishing or go home? Yeah, go home. I'm about to whip off my top when I'm struck by a thought. Hang on, Murph. If I turn up at camp with a load of fresh fish, people are going to ask questions. Not necessarily. Maybe no one will be around. But what if they are? I'll be your lookout. Let you know when the coast is clear. Then you can just pop them on the Barbie and wait for the mouths to start watering. That simple, huh? I usually find that life is what you make it, Kara, and I keep it simple. It's not though, is it? For you, do you mean? I can detect a mirth in his voice and it hits a nerve. Well, yes, for me, because I am the one who has to take the flak if something goes wrong. What do you see going so disastrously wrong with a fish supper, Kara? You don't think, when I serve fresh ocean fish, that people will want to know where they came from? If they're anything like you, they will. He rolls onto his back and lets out a loud guffaw. Well, maybe I should just tell them the truth. Tell Professor Popper. What's the harm? Mac rolls over and looks me squarely in the eyes. All humor has disappeared. There would be harm, Kara. Trust me on that. Obviously, I don't mean I'd tell him about you or anything that would endanger any of us. Just that I noticed this shoal of fishes and I took some for our supper. What's so wrong with that? You really think you could mention a phenomenon like this and that would be the end of it? That he wouldn't start putting all manner of investigations and disruptions in place? You are touchingly naive, my friend. You're the one I was talking about using a shirt to catch fish.
Everyone expected a woman to take off her shirt during the middle of the day.
Yeah. I feel my cheeks burn with embarrassment and I want to hide from him. I dive under the water and swim beneath him, pulling on his tail as I pass. Now that most certainly is a gauntlet. He starts splashing me furiously, and although I put up a good defense, I have to eventually concede. I give up. A worthy opponent, but sadly no match for me. I had to get back, meat to defrost and all that. No worries, Kara, I understand. Can't all be like you, Murph. Probably no bad thing either. You can't, any of you, be like me. They broke that mold, Kara. Thanks for the fun. Anytime. Fun's my middle name. As I squelch my way back to the mess tent, I can't help imagining how good these fishes would have tasted. Gotta rest. Oh, it's actually a dream. I decided to catch up on some rest and relaxation like the professor keeps telling me to, so I've come down to the jetty where Zane usually sits. Today isn't a delivery day, and as I was hoping, he's nowhere in sight. I sit with my legs dangling over the edge and take out my sketchbook and pencils. I haven't done this in ages. It's so peaceful. I can get lost in my own little world when I'm drawing. Tried doing a couple of landscapes, the mountain range in the distance, the trees of the forest, but nothing is really grabbing me. Then as I'm daydreaming, staring into the water, I notice the patterns that the ripples form on the surface. They're unusual, I suppose because of the magnetic pull. The effect is beautiful. I end up sitting for over an hour just trying to capture it on my page. Alright. Yeah. That's going to do it for this video. I want to thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment. Hope you have yourself a good day, and this is Sweet Tooth signing off. Love you.